Your strength is killing you. Why Black women must choose softness to survive. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something with you that came from a conversation I had with someone who's doing extraordinary work in the world. Her name is Racheal Fuery, and she's been on the front lines helping Black women navigate some of the most challenging economic and emotional landscapes we've faced in recent years. Rachel's insights have shaped communities, rebuilt careers, and reminded women that choosing themselves isn't selfish, it's survival. She's a force, a truth teller, a bridge builder who's turned data into dignity and research into real world transformation. What she shared with me, what we're going to unpack today, might just change the way you see your own strength forever. Here's the thing: we've been told our whole lives that strength is our superpower, that resilience is what makes us unstoppable, that no matter what the world throws at us, we rise, we hustle, we carry, we lead, and we do it all without breaking a sweat, or at least without letting anyone see us sweat. But what if I told you that the very thing we've been celebrated for, this unshakable strength, is quietly destroying us? What if the armor we wear so proudly is actually the thing keeping us from the rest, the joy, the softness we deserve? Let me paint you a picture. In 2025, Black women's employment to population ratio dropped sharply to 5.7%, a 1.4% decline that might sound small on paper, but represents over 350,000 of us pushed out of the workforce. College educated Black women in the public sector were hit the hardest, losing nearly 96,000 federal jobs alone. These weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These were managers, directors, leaders who had climbed from minimum wage retail jobs to federal roles, only to be told their expertise, their degrees, their years of service didn't matter anymore. And here's the kicker: many of them didn't just lose their jobs, they lost their health, hypertension, burnout, depression. The weight of being strong, of being the breadwinner, of holding it all together became too much. Their bodies said what their mouths couldn't: enough. Racheal Fuery shared with me the story of one of these women, a public sector manager in Washington, D.C., who had done everything right. She earned her degree, she worked her way up, she balanced motherhood, breadwinning, and the stress of navigating a system that wasn't built for her. And then in 2025, she was laid off. Just like that, 95,371 Black women lost federal jobs that year. She was one of them. But here's where the story gets interesting. Instead of crumbling, she pivoted. She launched a DEI consulting firm focused on culturally competent HR for public agencies. She prioritized therapy. She set boundaries. She learned to rest. And within 18 months, she grew that firm to seven figures, trained over 500 leaders, and reduced her hypertension symptoms. She didn't just survive, she softened. And in that softening, she thrived. She rebuilt not only her career, but her community, reducing local Black female unemployment through job placement programs that gave other women a lifeline. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking: that's great for her, but I don't have time to soften. I've got bills to pay, kids to raise, a career to build. I hear you. I've been there. Being the firstborn of a teenage mother in the hood, it felt predestined that I would fail. And in turn, I became a teenage mom myself. My determination to break the generational curse drove me to be strong. But strength isn't always a flex, it becomes a trauma response that sometimes I can't turn off. I survived failed relationships, unreturned love, raising my four children, and building my career, often forgetting myself. Now I'm learning to choose me, to rest, to say no, and to simply be without anyone's consent. I'm not at the end of this journey, but I'm discovering the joy in softening to myself. And that's the shift I want us to explore today. Because the data, the stories, the lived experiences of Black women across this country are screaming the same truth. Our strength, when it becomes a trauma response, when it's rooted in survival mode rather than self love, is a double edged sword. It gets us through the door, but it keeps us from sitting down. It helps us climb the ladder, but it exhausts us before we reach the top. And it makes us indispensable to everyone except ourselves. Let's talk about what this looks like in the real world. Black women hold just 0.4% of senior corporate roles. That's not a typo, less than half of 1%. Meanwhile, we make up 5.7% of the population in places like Edmonton, but only 1.1% of senior management positions. And when we do make it into leadership, we face what researchers call the double penalty, racial and gender bias that makes us 35% more likely than white women to fear addressing workplace discrimination. So we stay quiet. We work harder. We prove ourselves over and over again. And we burn out. Racheal told me about another woman, a Black executive in Edmonton, who represented that 0.4% statistic. She started in minimum wage hospitality jobs, worked her way to mid management, and then hit a wall. The 2025 economic slowdown stalled her advancement. Doors that should have opened stayed locked. Promotions that should have been hers went to others. But instead of accepting that ceiling, she made a choice. She advocated internally for equity audits. She built external networks. She softened her trauma responses through mentorship and wellness coaching. And eventually, she was promoted to the C suite. She mentored over 50 emerging leaders, doubled Black representation in her firm's leadership, and influenced citywide policies that pushed Black women in provincial agencies beyond that dismal 1% mark. She published an op ed on sustained inclusion that became a rallying cry. Her softening didn't make her weak, it made her unstoppable. It gave her clarity, it gave her power, it gave her peace. But here's the part that gets me, the part that keeps me up at night. For every woman who makes it through, there are thousands who don't. In 2025 alone, over 600,000 Black women exited the workforce, not because they weren't qualified, not because they didn't work hard enough, but because the system, the layoffs, the anti DEI backlash, the health crises brought on by chronic stress made it impossible to stay. And when we leave, we don't just lose a paycheck, we lose our sense of identity, our purpose, our belief that we matter. We lose the part of ourselves that said, I can do this. And sometimes we lose our health in the process. Higher rates of hypertension, obesity, cancer, depression. These aren't just statistics, these are our mothers, our sisters, our friends, ourselves. Racheal shared a third story with me, one that hit close to home. A highly educated leader in the nonprofit sector who had excelled in federal roles before 2025. She was the woman everyone leaned on, the one who showed up early, stayed late, and never said no. She was the glue, the backbone, the one who made sure everyone else was okay, even when she wasn't, until her body said no for her. Hypertension, obesity, depression, the health burdens that disproportionately affect Black women became too much to ignore. Her doctor told her she was at risk. Her body told her she was breaking. So she left. And in that leaving, she found something she hadn't felt in years: freedom. She founded a fund for Black women led ventures, emphasizing rest and self advocacy. She dismantled her survival mode strength through peer support circles where women could be honest, could be vulnerable, could admit they were tired without being judged. And within a few years, She had funded over 200 startups, scaled to $10 million in grants, and rebuilt careers for over 1,000 women. Her personal health improved. She modeled sustainable leadership. And she proved that softening isn't giving up, it's leveling up. It's choosing life over legacy built on exhaustion. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. What if your greatest strength, that hustle, that resilience, that ability to push through no matter what, is silently keeping you from the rest and joy you deserve? What if the very thing you've been praised for your whole life is the thing that's stealing your peace, your health, your ability to truly thrive? I'm not saying strength is bad. I'm saying strength without softness is unsustainable. I'm saying that we've been conditioned to believe that rest is laziness, that boundaries are selfish, that saying no makes us difficult. But the truth is, rest is resistance. Boundaries are self respect. And saying no is the most powerful yes you can give yourself. Rachel Fuery's work has shown us that when Black women prioritize themselves, when they build entrepreneurial side hustles, when they create community networks, when they choose rest over hustle, they don't just survive, they transform. They break generational curses, they rebuild economies, they inspire movements, and they do it all while protecting their peace. Think about the woman in DC who turned a layoff into a seven-figure business. Think about the executive in Edmonton who broke through the C suite ceiling by choosing wellness over workaholism. Think about the nonprofit leader who funded 200 startups because she finally funded herself first. These women didn't wait for permission, they didn't wait for the world to be fair. They softened, they rested, they chose themselves. And in doing so, they changed everything. But softening doesn't mean you stop being powerful. It means you stop being performative. It means you stop wearing strength like a mask and start wearing it like a crown, one you can take off when you need to breathe. It means you stop proving your worth to people who will never see it and start living your worth for yourself. This is not a call to be weak. This is a call to be whole. This is not a call to give up. This is a call to give yourself what you've been giving everyone else: grace, time, rest, love, space to just be. So here's my challenge to you, and I want you to really hear me on this. This week, I want you to say no to one draining commitment, just one. It could be a meeting that doesn't serve you, a favor you don't have the energy for, a role you've been carrying that was never yours to begin with. Say no, choose yourself, and watch what happens. Watch how softening, how creating space for rest and joy unlocks the boldest entrepreneurial breakthroughs you've ever experienced. Watch how boundaries don't push people away, they attract the right people. Watch how rest doesn't make you lazy, it makes you lethal in the best way: sharp, focused, clear, alive. Because here's the truth: you are not meant to carry the world on your shoulders. You are not meant to be strong all the time. You are meant to be whole. You are meant to be soft. You are meant to rest, to laugh, to breathe, to simply be without anyone's consent. And if you need permission, consider this it: from me, from Rachel, from every Black woman who has walked this path before you. You are allowed to soften. You are allowed to choose you. You are allowed to break the cycle, not someday, not when everything is perfect. Right now, today, your strength has carried you this far, but your softness, that's what will set you free. That's what will heal you. That's what will build the life, the business, the legacy you actually want, not the one you think you have to prove. So I'm asking you, will you choose softness? Will you choose rest? Will you choose you? Because the world needs your power, but it needs your peace more. And you deserve both.